Alrighty. So today is Class 5, and we're going to be covering aspects of the General Ledger. And when we say General Ledger, it really is more than that. So we're going to be covering General Ledger, banking, budgets, closing, and coupon maintenance. And coupon refers to coupons or statements. So first I'm going to start with General Ledger. So we will go to the switchboard, and we're going to go into entry, and then we're going to go into General Ledger. Okay, when General Ledger comes up, you will see 6, used to be just 4, now it looks like it's 7 tabs. I'm going to start right here on the account inquiry. Account inquiry is designed so that you can go in and look at any of your GL account numbers and see the history or any postings that were made to it. So if I was to expand, here's one of my operating accounts, I'll expand that, and I could see all the different entries that were made in this account. And you'll notice that it's just not 2015, but all the way back to when this property was created, which looks like December of 2013. So you can see the history from the very beginning of using this software. Now, you can also use what we call filters to limit the viewing of certain data to certain months. So let's say I wasn't balancing, I was trying to figure out, what was going on in a certain period because I'm doing the bank rec. I can go to the filter, and I can say, okay, show me all the posted information equal to a certain period. Well, actually, I'm going to need to say greater than or equal to, and I have to say equal to or it won't include the day. So if I said the 1st of August and then less than or equal to, so posted, less than or equal to a certain period. This is when I found out, when your math classes really pay off, right? What did I do for my what was BY? No, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. Thank you. There we go. Now, this is just the entries that were made in my whole property for that period of time. Now, there are other parameters that you can use. If I was looking to see what expenses or what money came in for reserve, let's say, I could use that filter. I could come back. I'm going to delete these. And so using the filter is a really good way, let's say department, for reserves. And now these are all just reserve entries. So the checks that I wrote out of the reserve, for reserves out of the operating account, this is a reserve, here's the different expenses that I had, etc. So this is a way that you can isolate if you're looking for something or if you want to do some research on a problem or something like that. Filters are a really good way to do that. If I wanted to capture this screen, right next to the printer there is a grid that looks kind of like that little square paper, graph paper. It has a magnifying glass. If I click on this, it will bring up this report, and it is a little bit hard to see it, but there we go. If you want to print this, you just hit print, and now you can print this document. I use this a lot if I need to reverse a journal entry or I need to make a journal entry, and I just want to say, give me some information on a certain day of the month. And this is helpful a lot of times when somebody makes a mistake and has their GL post on when they post their beginning numbers. So it gives me a way to isolate the data so I can make a reversing journal entry based on what they released to the General Ledger and didn't mean to. So that's really helpful. This is a refresh, so if I made some changes in something and it didn't refresh after I made a change, the refresh button will do that.
Hi, Caroline.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt. Can you expand the expense section on that report?
Does it actually show the debit and the credit?
Okay, good question. So I'm going to go here, postage, let's say, and I'll open it up. And here are all the entries, okay? Now I'm going to double-click on this, and there it'll show me the whole entry.
Okay, so that's right. Okay.
Okay? If I need to print this, I hit this printer, this will go straight to this entry, then will completely print to the printer if you need it to. Okay?
And is it possible to actually filter that thing like for one geocode only, or like if we're looking for one particular day and just one code?
Oh yeah, you sure can. I can say account number.
Okay.
I don't do that very often. GL code is what it's called. So let's say I just wanted to see fencing, you know.
And can you also filter that geocoder like per day, like for the day, right?
Okay. So let's say, well, I didn't know what was in here, so I'll say 5/5 now.
Okay.
So now I'll say posted equal to what year?
5/5/15, I think.
Yep. There you go.
Nice.
Okay.
Thank
you.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Okay. And in addition to that, you see where it says drag a column header here? I like this. If I wanted to get it to kind of group differently, let's say I wanted it to group by the type, and then I wanted to group by the code, I can go like that. So you can change, you know, how it looks, you know, where it's going to put all your groupings. So like I have all my income here together, and then so on and so forth. Now it does do it alphabetically, you know, or because I said by type. Okay? So anyway, but it's really a nice way. Another thing I can do is I can look here at, oops, let me put this back. Okay, this is real time. So when you go in and you make a deposit or you write a check, that information immediately gets released to the general ledger. So if you wanted to see what a cash balance was at that time, you could come right here and you could get that cash balance and look at any property at that time. If you expand any of these, if you see a check mark right here, see these check marks? Can you guys see that? Those check marks mean that those have been reconciled. So if you want to find out if, you know, certain things have cleared or if they, you know, did the bank reconciliation quickly, that's one way you can do it. An R means it's been reconciled. Any questions about this tab before we move on?
I have a question. The AP vouchers, like any checks that you issue in any journal entries, are they going to show like in the bank reconciliation? I don't know if it's a question down the road, but I mean.
I'll show you a bank reconciliation today, so you'll.
Okay, I'll just wait then. That's fine.
Okay, and what a nice thing too is, on here I can make these rows go bigger or smaller, you know, just by moving them. If you open this up, you can see in the cash. It was an AP voucher, here was my check number, and here is who it was made payable to. So it's kind of like a mini check, well, here, I guess a mini check register.
Okay.
Okay, so it gives you that, and if you double click on it, it opens it up and you can see all sides of the journal entry.
Okay.
Okay, alrighty. Now, the next thing that you would be doing, probably the first thing you'll do is you're going to be using journal entries. You'll be entering in your beginning balances. So to do that, you would go to journal entry. You would go and choose the property that you wanted to start with, and then you would select entry date. So this is the transaction date on the general ledger. So if you looked over your inquiry, when I open any of these up, there are two dates. Remember, I've been talking about this. There's a transaction date and there's a posted date. The posted date is the default or the filter that we use when rendering reports. All the data is filtered by this posted date. Transaction date is more like a reference. You know, and you can use it to look for things if you thought that might be a transaction date, but it is more of a reference than it is the day that is going to put that data into your general ledger. Okay, and you'll remember yesterday when we were on Hunter Mill and I wrote some checks and I went and I overrode the transaction date and the posted date because I wanted them to be in July. So if you can see here in the general ledger, those invoices and that data did post within the July period rather than the day I was working, which was 8/26. Now, I'm going to go back to the journal entry. So if I was doing beginning balances for this property for 7/31, I'm going to put entry date is 7/31, and I want you to make the posted date this date. If I said entry date was 7/31 but left this unchecked when I post it, the posting date will be today, the day you do it. So in today's case, it would be 8/26. So just remember, if you make a mistake, let's say I forgot to post this and I came in here and I made an entry, let's say I'm going to do an entry to laundry income. Let's see who I have as far as income goes before I do that. Okay, so we're going to go to 4,000 and I have, here we go, clubhouse rental. Okay, so $400 I'm going to say I got for clubhouse rental and I'm going to make it operating. Okay, so I have this. I said I wanted to be posted in July, but I'm going to post it without clicking this box here. Now, I have permissions to post the period. If I did not, I could only post in August. Okay, we go to inquiry and we look. So there is transaction date, 7/31, but the posted date is right here. Okay, so when it pulls it on my income statement and my balance sheet, it's going to show cash was increased for $400 in August and income was increased in August, not July. That's just a reference. So if you want something to be posted in July,
I have a question. Is there like a date range to backpost, or is it just like, well, like if you have access to backpost anything to like July and stuff like that, like you could just post like even up to June and May and stuff like that, or?
You can post, if you have permissions, you can post for any period that is not the current month. So it would be if you were given permissions. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So post. Oops. I hit saved. I don't know why I did that. Okay. Now, let's pretend the other one was a mistake. I realized, okay, that I wanted the entry, right? So I come here. I go back to the income. So there is 7/31 because I checked it, and here's the one I forgot to check it. So I don't want this entry. If I have delete permissions, I can delete this journal entry. So all I have to do is right-click and say delete entry, and it will let me. Now, it will not let you delete anything from AP or AR. The only thing you can delete from inquiry are journal entries if you have been given permissions. That being said, on the Note tab, it will record that you deleted it. There will be records that you deleted it. I think it's under adjustments.
And everybody's going to have a username, right? I mean,
everything you do is going to be recorded by your username. That's why you have IDs when you log in.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm not okay. So right here it shows I deleted it. Now I'm logged in as the DSS host admin, but if I wasn't, it would be my name. Okay. So that happens to be my login here. But anytime something is or posted out of period. Okay, so it will make a note when someone makes an entry that is out of period or if they delete something. So it is there. Now, deleting is a privilege. And so in the employee setup, if you don't want someone to have access to delete, then you say they only have read-write permissions and not delete. So as an administrator, you want to make sure that you set the permissions to what you want them to be or where, that trust level is. All right?
Okay.
So back to so this is nothing different than in making any other journal entry. You come in, you put in your entry date. If you want it to be posted on the same date, you check this box. You give the description here of what you want to do, and then you come down here and you check your debits and credits, and then you post it by checking the box above. In addition to that, you can create CSV files and import them. And if you come over here, you'll see it says select template. If you do the drop down, it tells you the order that it has to be in. So a CSV, if you have a header, which would be the titles like chart of accounts, debit, credit, then you would choose the second choice. And if you weren't going to have that header, then you would choose the first one. One of the things that you need to remember if you import in, and I remember the first time I did this, I was frustrated because I kept getting errors that it wasn't letting me do it. So let's just go here. Let's say I was going to come in here and I was going to post some entries. Okay, so and then let's see. I was going to, but I don't want to post a really long entry. I have the huge one in front of me. Okay, so I'm just going to post this one. You'll notice that when I'm making this entry, that each of the debit and credit sides have zeros. So there's data in both of them. So I might have an entry, but on the debit side, there'd be a zero. If it's a debit entry on the credit side, it still has a zero. When you create a Excel spreadsheet that you save as a CSV file, if you're going to import it, and I usually import all my beginning balances because it's just easy. And so if you choose to do that, be sure that you put and format these cells as numbers, and so that you can't, so the cells will have a zero in there. So when you import it, you won't get an error. Okay? Now, another thing that the software will do, and I'm just going to make this June so you can see it here. If you have an entry that for some reason you need to reverse out of the next month, I have a really good example. I was just helping somebody recently that had they go in and do what they called accrued expenses, okay? So what they'll do is accrued expenses. So each month they kind of guess what they think instead of putting it in. Okay, so accrued expenses, I'm going to come in here, and they had a GL account number, liability account number, which I don't have one set up on this property for that. So for this, we're just going to put it under Brat's keys. I don't think I have any money in there. Okay, I'll come back. I'm going to abort this and start over. Okay, so this is exactly, it's kind of funny, but this is exactly what this company would be doing. Okay, and then I think it Okay. And then they put it to their accrued expenses, and I'm going to put it to keys because I don't have one. Now, what they'll do is that would have been a 6/30 entry. And then they would have come in on July, and they reverse that entry out. That way, when they pay the bills, they're not overstating the expenses. So instead of having to create manually that journal entry every month, they could do this. They could come in here, and they could say reversal reoccurrence 1 month, and then they give it a name. So I'm going to just call it June. For some reason, I'm having trouble spelling today. Okay, there we go. So they go in, and they post the entry. Now, what the software does, okay, so we'll go in. We're going to look. I'm going to have something for that liability there. Okay. Now, it doesn't automatically, without your help, post it. But what it did do is if I go to the back tab, I can go to reverse, and I will see there it is. There's my entry. It made the entry for me, and now I'm going to put the date I wanted to reverse, which will be July 1st, say process, and you don't have to worry about doing the set posted date. It knows that that's what you want. Then you post it. So it saves you time, the one step that you don't have to go in there and physically post the entry. Create the entry. You just have to post it. So now if I come back and I look at that property, we'll go to our key one because that's where I did it. There it is. In and out. So anytime you know that there's an entry that you're making, you're going to reverse out the next month, that is a nice tool to help you do, create the entry so you don't have to manually key it in, especially if it's a big one.
Is it possible to set up something like every month, like do like a recurring entry, just have it ready to be posted?
I'm going to show you how to do that very shortly, yes. Okay. So that is so another thing that I can do here is while I'm doing an entry, if I have something like prepaid insurance. So I'm going to say prepaid insurance. Okay, and we just set up this property, so I haven't really even put any, let's give it, an entry here. I'm just going to pretend like I just put it up from my, brought over the balance from my other software, right? So now that came in, and now I need to expense that out every month. And I have, you can have as many of type of entries that you want. So if I had that 20,000 and I'm going to divide that by 12 months, it's going to be 1,666. So on 7/31, I want to expense that out. So I'm going to say from my prepaid insurance, I want to reduce that 166.66, and then I'll put it to my insurance expense. Okay, now I want to make this all the time. So I'm going to right click and say save it as a memorized item. So I'm going to put property insurance. Okay, now I can do other ones, like if you had one that was, I could have 5 or 6 or 7, you'd have your reserve transfers, whatever kind of journal entries, you would just continually, you can right click and you can post them there. Now, that adds them to the memorized tab here. You can also do it directly. So I could put prepaid I don't know, I can even try to spell today because I'm doing so bad at it. Okay, so I'm going to click down. When I do it expands, I'll come in here and I will credit this one $45 operating, and then 5 down by my liability. There we go. Okay. So you can do it either way. Now, instead, you have 2 ways you can do this. You can go to journal entry, and you can right-click and load memorize and load one at a time and post them. But there's an easier way. I can go to batch, and I can create a batch that it would be all my properties. So I could do all my properties at once. So if all your properties have prepaids and you want to do that entry with every single one of them every single month, all you have to do is first have them set up in the memorize, and then you would come here and you were going to add a new one. Except that, I'm sorry, come to the top, do the drop down and say add batch entry. Now, if it was for all properties, you would say all. And then what would happen is when you open this up, you would select your property and then select the memorized item you want to add. So you would just continue to go down the list. Or you can do this and say, I like to do one property at a time, so I'm going to put the name of my property there. I can give my batch. I could say prepaid insurance, prepaid. And the first date that I want this to post would be 7/31. I'd like it to happen every month. Then you expand it and you pull in each of those entries you made. So property and then the other one. And then when you're ready to post it, you click that one, you hit post, and it will post all of the entries at one time. Then it will show you, after it does that, okay, it'll update the date, so 8/1. So if you look at these end of the month entries weren't done yet. So because they're due for June, so you can kind of look here really quick and say, oh, I forgot to expense those. So you can, and you can do, I could have, and I still can, say, go ahead and do all those entries, and I can do them all at once. Now, if you have an entry there and it changed, like updated your reserve transfer, just go into the Memorize tab, update the amounts there. And that way, because you cannot change the amount that you want to be posted from this screen, okay? You only see what entry you're going to post. Does that make sense? So if I was to look at Arborgate here, I see I have a reserve transfer. So if I went to Memorized and they increase the amount, I'll go to Arborgate and I see reserve transfer. I'll open this up and it's 3,000. So if I want it to be a different amount, I'll just update it here. And then when I post it, I don't have to do anything else on the other side. It's still going to recognize that this is the name of the memorized one I would like it to post through this batch tab. So when I go here and I post that entry, it will now recognize the $5,000 amount. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. Now, software doesn't do it automatically for you. It's a matter of people, the majority of our clients like to have control to post that entry when they're ready. And another thing, like that reversal, you'll notice I did it in June and I wanted to go in July, but the software, when it says 1 month, it's thinking, oh, it's August, she wants it in September. So there are times that you really do want to have control, okay? Now, on this one, let's say I don't want this here anymore. So the last time you post something, you could say process and remove and post. So when you post it, the next time it will remove that. Okay, and it will no longer be on this tab. So lots of here. Okay, see, now it's gone. Okay, so do you feel comfortable making journal entries?
What's that? I'm sorry?
Do you all feel comfortable about the making a journal entry?
I think so.
Okay, alrighty. And then loading them is just a right click. Now, if I have a journal entry here and I made a mistake, you can't get off of here, or if you found out, oh no, I need to add the GL account number, which happens when you first start setting up new properties all the time. So this is what I would do. If it was a huge long entry, because it's not going to let me, I'm going to make one out of balance here. So 45,000 here. Okay. So if I try to say, okay, I'm going to get out, I'm going to go add that account, it's going to tell us out a period. It says you want to keep the entry. If I said no, it's, okay, normally it was going to make me abort. So I'm surprised. It's a new one. I just updated my thing yesterday, so he must have added that, so it was kind of nice. But usually what would happen is when I would go to get out, it requires me to hit the support button, okay? But this is the secret. I want to share this with you. If I am doing a long entry, like your beginning balance entries, right? What I will do, because I don't want to lose it because I need to put it, add a new account, and I can't just get out of here or just save it as is. What I will do is I'll right-click and I'll put it, the balance of whatever entry, make my debits and credits balance. I will put it to a suspense account. I'll right-click, I'll save it as a memorized BB for beginning balance, and then I get out. Then I can come back, I can load it, and then I can alter that suspense account and add in the accounts I just added in the general ledger. Okay? So if you're putting a long one, that's a nice trick, and then you just go back to the memorized later and abort. Oops. That's going to be a funny thing. And delete that BB. Okay? So, it's just kind of a thing that will help you when you're first bringing in those beginning balances. So memorize is just like the memorized in AP. You can memorize journal entries that you don't want to have to do every time. And I do journal entries for weird things even. Like if I'm going to, okay, there's a good example. AR, you get money that are for non-homeowners things, like maybe an insurance reimbursement or for clubhouse rental that isn't related to a homeowner, or you don't want them to show on the homeowner's account, or you get vending machine money. Those are put in as journal entries. So you debit the cash account and you credit the income account. Now, I have some people that don't really know accounting. They just know how to do what you teach them. So sometimes I'll see a management company, they'll do something like this. They might put in here laundry income. And they'll put $1 in the debit, and then they'll put in the income account, they'll put $1 in, I think I've been missing right there. Okay, in the credit side. Then they memorize it. So when they're a person who does things, who's just doing journal entries and doesn't really understand the difference between debits and credits, when they load it, they know that all I need to do is update it. So entries that you might not even make all the time, this is just a way to help somebody know what accounts to put it in and what side of the entry it needs to be on. Okay? So those are just a few little tips. Note places that you can put stuff. So like I said, There are different things. Oops. We'll go to Hunter because it'll be more. Okay, you can put documents here. You can come in, excuse me, you can put stuff on the GL Financial. When we learn about File Fusion, one of the things you can do is you can create a financial package and you can have it put on this tab here. You can put a document on here that you want to include in the financial package. And so there would be things that are not DMS reports. Maybe you made an Excel spreadsheet, or you had a picture, or you had, a proposal, different things that you may want to be included in a File Fusion report group. Now, File Fusion is the ability to combine a lot of reports into one PDF instead of having to render each report separately. So you can put things on here, and it's a drop and drag. It will also be a place to put in notes. There is one, these are all the journal entries I made. So if I needed to go back and reprint them, I can do them from here. Okay? So notes is basically a place that's going to hold notes. Any questions about this?
No, we're good.
Okay. Now, iExpert is a tool to help you use. And if you look, these are the different areas that it will look for information. So if I was probably going to this note tab here, it might be because I just want to look here in the GL area. But if you wanted to find something, and we talked about this in AP, it's the same idea. I can go in here, say what part of this area that I want to go. So let's go into adjustments. Okay, so I am going to say that period of time, research, remember, defaults back 1 month, but I'm going to say prepaids. And I'm going to say search. Maybe I didn't give it enough parameters. Okay. Anyway, what it will do is it'll come up with different things from different areas. It'll tell you what area it came from, and then you can go in and, open the, right here, if I click there, it will open that journal entry. This, I could email it to someone by clicking on that. So here's the entry. If I wanted to email it to somebody, I'll hit email. And it'll come up so I can email it. Okay, so iExpert is basically a way that allows you to extract data into a file. So if I needed to, let's say I wanted to send all this data to someone, I could come in here, I could say send it to a file and process. It'll ask me where I want to send it, and then it'll extract that data and send it to a file, and then I can do whatever I need to do with it, whether it's give it to somebody or file it away somewhere, but it's just a way for you to extract, look, research. Make sense?
Yep, everything's good.
Alrighty. Okay. Last thing I want to talk about is, I wish I hadn't done this, is going to be the end of year closing. So this would be the end of your fiscal year. I wonder if I can just kill this.
Well, the idea is I was going to review this so that I could tell you when you go back to recording, the budget section starts at minute blah, blah, blah. So we're still, I'm 45 minutes in and she hasn't taken off.
I'm going to kill this guy, so there we go. My DOS comes in handy every once in a while. Okay. So at the end of your fiscal year, once you're ready to, you want to close your fiscal year. And to do that, you're going to go into the entry. You're going to go into General Ledger. You'll go to the EOY. You'll select your property. And it's in the year, it's assuming that I want to do this year, but I want to do 2014, January through January, 2014. Okay. Now, I am going to do you have to do it by department. So I'm going to choose, I'll say adjust EOY, and then it's going to make a journal entry, and then whatever that profit or loss is, I need to tell it what GL account I want to send it to, and then I need to post the entry. And you'll need to do that for every department. Okay? Simple enough? Any questions?
No, we're okay, I think. I mean, once you run these reports, you could always go back and run them again, right? It's not like you close a year and you can't go back.
No, but if you close a year and your auditor gives you an adjustment that you are going to backdate, if you go to backdate in that prior year, then you need to you'll need to delete that journal entry. So if I did this, because if you don't, you will look funny and cause problems on your reports. So be sure to do that. I'm going to, okay. Oh, Community 3 didn't, wait a minute, maybe not. Okay.
Community 1.
Pardon?
Oh, never mind.
Did you say 1981?
I thought you selected Community 1, but no.
Oh, no. Okay, so if I come down to my 3,000, which is where I did my end of the year closings there, if I needed to go, if I was going to do a journal entry or make an entry to 2014, you'll want to delete these entries, make your entry, and do your closing again. And you just write, now mind you have to have permissions. You say delete entry. Okay?
Okay, that's good.
Okay. All right, that's General Ledger. The next thing we're going to do is budgets. Now, there is online on VMS a add-in called Excel add-in. And there's instructions on how to use it. So if you choose to use that, you can create your budgets in Excel with that add-in. It will then link it to your VMS and automatically put it into VMS for you, okay? And you don't have to do anything, which is sort of nice, right? Otherwise, you have to put it in manually, and this is how you would do it. You'll come down here. You'll go to Hunter Mill. That's my property. I'm going to click on the plus sign up here in the ribbon, and it's going to ask me for my name. So I'm going to say 2000 budget. Now, of course, because it's so late in the year, things I want the next year, I'm going to do that. So I'll pick my year. Be sure that this begin date is the same as your fiscal year. If they don't match, then when you go to run your reports, your budgets will not show up on your reports. So I'm going to say a plus sign, and that means, okay, add this year. So the first plus was to create the name of my budget. The second one is actually creating the budget. What it's doing right now is going to the general ledger. It's look at that table, and it's looking for all the chart of account numbers, all my active chart of account numbers that I have, and it's bringing them in. It clicks this hide blank row, so I need to unclick it to see them. Now, if I have more than one department, you'll see I have a department operating. Here's the expenses. Here is the income. Then I have my reserves, the expenses, and the income. Why is income below expenses? Because alphabetically E comes before I. When I go and put my budgets in, because I have done this before and it annoys me, I always put operating when I'm putting in my operating and then reserves when I put my reserves, because one time I had all and I had stuck all my expenses here because I'm used to going from income to expenses and realized I just put all the operating expenses in reserve and it annoyed me. So to make sure I don't annoy myself, I do that. You find what works for you. Okay, so now I'm just looking at my operating. I'm going to expand my income. I'm going to start there. I don't know about you, but when the managers used to give me their budgets, they gave me an annual budget, and I needed to spread it out over 12 months. So if that's the case, the easiest way to do it is come here. So I'm going to go to assessments. I'll come down, and I'm going to add my budget. So $397, $152 is that income. And then they budgeted $90 for interest. So I'm going to come to my interest and say $90. Now, I want to divide over these 12 months. So in this adjustment tab, I'm going to use the divided sign, okay? And then I'm going to say adjust values. It's going to take that amount and divide it equally across the board. Now, $90 did not divide evenly by 12. So anytime it doesn't, it's going to make that adjusting entry in December, up or down, whatever's needed. So divided sign, we'll take whatever you put in there and divide it equally. If I had, let's say, late fees, and I put an equal sign there, and I said 150, and I said adjust value, it will populate 150 in each cell. If let's say I have parking here, and I'm going to put 300 right now. So you're doing your budget, and they said, okay, 360. We want you to increase that by 10%. So I'm going to put percentage. I'll put 10.
Do you know what they wanted, or do you need to email them back? Okay.
Stephanie, would you like to mute yourself, please?
And take one of them, mark it.
Okay. Then you'll notice that it took that 10% and it increased that field. If I use the dollar sign instead of the equal, and I put $50 here, let's say, and I say adjust value, it will append $50 to each cell. If I put the dollar sign and I put a negative, it will subtract $10 from each cell. So the adjustment thing, divide by, we'll take whatever number you put here, divide it by that like we did here. The equal sign, now this is 190. If I use equal sign here and I put it at 200, it replaces, okay? The dollar sign is the one that will append. $2, remember this one was only 2 before, now it's 4. So the dollar sign appends, equal replaces, and percentage does, what you said. And you can put in a negative 10% too. So if I take this, say, well, we think we're gonna get 10% less, if I put a negative 10 and adjust, it will reduce it by 10%.
What if there's like a geocoder that we don't use anymore and stuff like that? Can we just delete it from delete the row?
Well, once you're done, you're going to say hide row. Okay?
Okay. So anything that has 0 is going to hide it, basically. Okay.
Okay. Now, let's say I wanted to have in here laundry. I don't have a laundry one. So they wanted to have a line there. And I'm going to save this. I'm going to get out. I'm going to go into my setup, and I'm going to add laundry income. So Hunter. And we're going to go to accounting, Geo, chart of accounts. I'm going to come down and look for what number I want to use. I'm going to make it 471. Okay. I always hit the code to resort it so I can make sure that it looks like the others. Now, let's say they don't use slips. So, and we had that on there. So I'm going to hit this inactive. See that there? Let's say we don't get transfer fees. I'm going to hit that one and make that one inactive. Let's say that they're just going to put all interest in here and just call it interest. Because they're going to use the department. All right? So I just made some changes, right? Now I'm going to get out of here. Remember, it automatically saves when I get out of the cell. There's not a save button. And now I'm going to go back into budgets. So I'm going to go to enter, and I'm going to go to budget, and I'm going to bring up our property. Okay, there it is. I'm going to unhide the blank rows. Now when I do that, you'll notice that there's really no change here. The laundry isn't here, right? I need to hit this refresh button because when we first created our budget, it went in, it grabbed the table, and everything was there. So I made changes, so I needed to go out and do that again. So now if I look, I should see, if I hit the button hard enough, there's my laundry. Okay? Now, what would happen is if I made another budget, the boats, because they're inactive, would no longer be there. Okay? Because this system only goes and gets new ones, it doesn't eliminate ones that you made inactive. So that's another reason to hide them. But if I was to create a new budget, those wouldn't come in because they're inactive. Make sense? So if you, and I do have people that say that, I'm going to add to the and I'll show you, budget 2015, take two. Okay. That will not, do not want anything to be active if they don't have a budget in. I don't know if you have any of those type of board members. So what the manager will do is in the new year, before they put the budget, they'll go in and activate anything that they don't have a budget amount, so you can't accidentally post something to an account number that doesn't have a budget. So here we go, it's creating. Now, it's going to that table. Whatever is active, it will pull in. So we won't see boat slips this time. Okay. I made a liar out of myself. It shouldn't have made boat slips there. That's weird. Normally boat slips won't be there, and that's an error in the program, and I'm going to let Mike know. But anyway, it usually, we'll get that fixed. But if it's inactive, it's not, it doesn't pull in. It's not supposed to. Okay. I like finding mistakes. Alrighty. Any questions about how to do a budget? So like I said, you would just continue to do it. Put your income in. You would go. I'm trying to switch budgets to the other one. Then you put your expenses. When you finally get the budget the way you want it, you would then, as soon as it gets there, I'll show you. Okay. So I have 403. You guys are going to love this. Wouldn't you like to make this much money in your management fees from one property? Okay, so I got a 0. I'm happy. Hide my blank rows. So now I'll just see ones that I have. Now, for it to appear on my financials, I need to hit final budget. So if you don't, when you go to print your income statement, if you do not see your budget figures and you know you put it in, just check that. That's usually always the reason. If this is checked, the next reason would be that maybe your budget start date differs from your what you set your fiscal year to be. So if you let the software do it, remember it's January, and then if you said, oh, this property starts in July, and you made this July, and you forgot to change the other one to July, then it won't show either. So those are the 2 reasons they won't show up. Okay? And then, like I said, there's a video and the software if you want to use the Excel add-in to do your budgets.
Is there any way to have like a side-by-side comparison with the current budget and then like what we expect to budget next year? I mean, let's say 2014.
As far as viewing,
budget.
there's reports that will do that for you. There is a report that you can compare 2 years.
Do you mind showing us?
Can,
or, I mean,
what did you say?
Do you mind showing us?
The report?
Yes.
It's just, I don't know that I have enough data in there to run that report for you, but I can show you the name of the report.
Okay.
So if I went to set up report groups and definitions, if you come here to the available reports, I'm going to go into budget, and there is one here called the name of it is, okay, maybe it's in General Ledger instead. Sam, was that you that asked?
Yes.
Okay, I know that I have one. I will find out the name, and I will send you the exact name. But there's an example of it online under the report examples.
Okay.
So that it's there, okay? Because I put it there.
This is Dean with Brink. Maybe if you're sending that out, could you send it out to us as well?
Oh, I'd be happy to. I'd be happy to. Okay. All righty. I highly recommend you read about the add-in, though. You will love that. Okay. The next thing is banking. So banking is bank reconciliations. So you would pick the property that you want to do the bank reconciliation for. Then you come over here and you select the property. I'm going to grab reserves here for a minute. Now, this is my reserve account. I am going to change this over here to reserves, and I'm going to say reconcile. The reason I did that was I'm going to need to post my interest. So 154.6. So I'm going to put in here my bank balance. Okay. And I got $56 of interest. So over here, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to put $56. And I'm going to say what account that I want it to go to. which I know it's a 4,000. There we go. All right. The reason that I put reserves here is when it goes and posts to this 40,045 account is it's going to credit this income, and it needs to know what department it's going to post it to. This is the department. So when I hit post, it will make that journal entry for me. So I don't have to go in and make a journal entry first to post my interest. So when you go in, you put any interest you had. Here's a check that hasn't cleared, so I'm going to leave it. You right here, you notice no difference, and I'm going to post it. Okay? Once it does that, it will, first of all, it's going to create a journal entry, investment report for me for making that journal entry of the $56, and it also then will bring up a bank reconciliation. The bank reconciliation that it pulls up will be the one I defined in setup. So in property setup on the information tab, you got to choose what bank reconciliation you wanted. So here is the one I chose. So it shows me my GL balance, my bank statement balance, and here's my uncleared deposit. Okay. Now I will reconcile my operating account. So I'll say operating. Once again, I'm going to choose operating. I might not have interest for this one, but I might have gotten hit on a service charge. So I put in my beginning bank number. I went in and I can say when my closing date is, which it looks like it's 5:30. I can say filter by date, and then I will only see data up through that date, or I can leave them all undone. And as I do that, it will tell me what my difference is. So I still have $641 here that I need to clear off. I can go in and post my service charges. So $50.41. And this one happened to be for, of all things, coupons. The bank printed some coupons for me. So I'm going to put it to that expense. Okay. And then I would find my 550.
I have a question. When we post a journal entry through this screen, does it post as a contribution or expense, or what is it? I mean, because right now the way we do it, like we will post an entry to, like, it's posted as a contribution. But if, like, let's say like the Morgan Stanley is like a reserve account, then we have to do it as a journal entry because it's going to throw off our it's going to throw off our financials.
When I post the interest, it posts it to whatever I tell it to. So
okay.
Here's interest right here. You select the account. This is service charges. This is, reductions. So if you need to reduce, you use this side. If you need, and the thing is, if I had gotten a bank charge that I wanted to go to the GL account number bank charges, that's what I would have coded it to. But if I happen to know on this bank reconciliation, it was for coupons, then I'm going to code it to what I knew it was for. This just saves me from getting out, making a journal entry, and then having to come back in. Okay?
Okay.
Okay? So once you have a zero difference here, so you have your bank balance in there, you've cleared all this side is usually deposits and journal entries, this side is checks. Now, it doesn't always come in check order here, so you can hit check number, and we'll resort this by check number so that it's easier to check off. Okay? Now, once I hit the post button, it's going to do the same thing. It's going to make the journal entry to coupons dash the operating department, and then it's going to pull up my bank reconciliation. And I'm going to do another one really quick for There we go. So there's this bank reconciliation. Now, if I reconcile this one again, and I said June, like I said, I can say filter by date if I wanted to. Doesn't look like I have a lot of data for June. And then, I'll just leave it. But you can go in here, check off the ones that you do want to use, or in the ones that cleared, and when this is 0, then you post it. Now, if you need to if I came in here and I realized that I have to make a journal entry, I forgot to reverse a check off someone's account, there was an NSF, and I didn't find that out until I was doing this doing my bank reconciliation. So let's say, I'm just going to put a number in here, 95,853. Okay. So I'm off by $500. If I go to leave, it's going to say you're out of balance. Do you want to say save? If you say no, when you come back in here, you have to start all over again. You have to check everything. So say yes. Then when you come back in, you go make your correction. Then when you come back into banking and you go to reconcile, everything that you checked and you entered in will be there, okay? So that'll save you time. Now, if you made a mistake and you cleared something that you didn't intend to clear, or whatever the reason, you can unreconcile, and it's very simple. You just go to the tab that says Unreconcile. You select your property. Then you'll do a drop down and it'll show you your banks, and then it'll show you the month that the last month that was done. So this one was March. Now if I needed January undone and not March and February, sorry to tell you, you have to do them all. So I would have to say unreconcile this. So it says unreconcile the statement, yes. Do you want to keep the statement? No, I wanted to unreconcile. So then there's February. So then I would have to unreconcile that one, keep the record, no, and then unreconciles that, and now I'm in January. Okay?
You could reconcile prior months, basically, and now it's not going to affect like the latest one you did? Is that what you're showing me?
No. I said, if you have to do one in a prior month, you have to do every month before that prior month, too.
Okay.
If I wanted... So like I said, if I wanted that February one, I had to undo March 1st, and then you have to go all the way through and redo them. So,
okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So just to let you know, you can unreconcile, but you have to reconcile all the ones before it if it's not just last month. It looks a lot like QuickBooks as far as I'm concerned on reconciling. It's very simple. Oh, but one of my favorites, you can also, right here where it says File, this is where you can drop in your bank reconciliation. So when you get a bank reconciliation, just go like this, find the file.
Do you mean your bank statement?
Yeah, what did I say?
Bank recon.
I'm sorry. My mouth and my brain aren't working together today. So now it's right there. Nice thing about putting it there is when you create through File Fusion your financial packages, the bank statement will get included. So it'll just print it out as part of your package. But it has to be attached here to do it. Okay? Make sense? Let's see. I don't even know. Okay. Next one is closing. Here's closing. So when I go to the closing one, these are all my properties. You can close all your properties at one time, or you can do them one at a time. So some of these properties don't have any data in them, which is one reason it's not closed. So here's Ashburn Farms. It's in June, and you'll notice that it's red, and I'm going to show you why it's in red in just a second. So when you're ready to close your period, your month, you would come in here, and these are already, so here's Cambridge Manor, and I want it to be in August. So I'm going to check this box here. So the current period is the month that you're currently in, and this is the new period, all right? Now, Ashburn Farms is in June. Do you see that? If I go in to Ashburn Farms, this is why I keep saying, talking to you about applying money out of period and stuff. The process of the money applying, it all goes into prepaids and it applies to the invoice. And as it does, it's a process we call apply application. So if you have money, and we're going to go to Ashburn Farms and find someone that is paid for July. If not, we'll make a payment for July. The property is in June. I think it's easier just to see it, so I'm going to shut up for a minute. But feel free to ask questions. Come on, where are you? There you are. Oh, here you go. I went to the screen. Okay, so all right. Let's see, where's the payment? So we have Leona here. Leona is in, we have her in the month of June. So what I'm going to go and do right now is she owes $1,738. Do you see that? Well, I'm going to go in and I'm going to put a deposit of $1,838.72 there. So $1,838.72. Now, mind you, I can only do these dumb things that you're going to see me do because it's not a real property. Because you would never go in and post a deposit in August back to June, right? But because it's play data, and I'm actually just trying to prove a point here, I'm going to come here. I'm going to make this June 30th. And I'm going to make a payment of $1,838.72. I'm going to set the posted date. Perfect. All right. So when I made that payment in June, it applied to all these charges. Shows a $100 credit here still. It didn't apply it to the July assessment. Do you see that?
Yeah, we do.
Okay. So the reason it will never apply money out of period, because I'm in June, it will not apply to a future period. One of the reasons we have this, and we do have people that need this, is some management companies will get owners who will bring in and pay for something that the accounting department hasn't had yet to put on their account. They might be extra fees. So this allows the accounting department to go in and finish putting in any charges they had for June and having that credit applied to the June charges before they close, and then that money will get applied by the hierarchy to the next fee, which in this case would be the assessment. So No matter what I do, it will not apply. So we're going to get out of here, and we're going to go in, and we're going to close period 2, and we're going to do it into July. So to close, all I have to do is say process. And it says you want to close those months, and you say yes, and it goes through this process. Now, sometimes people don't read pop-ups, they just say okay. This pop-up is important. It says all workstations must close and rerun application to recognize this new date. So if I said okay, and I go back in and I start making a whole bunch of entries into my property for July, and I wonder why in the world it isn't applying, is because it needs to reset. And so I have to get out and come back in for my property, for my workstation to recognize the new accounting period of July, okay? So you'll want to make sure that anybody who's going to be working in that property would do the same thing so that their data would be being posted in the correct period. Most people do this. If you're the accounting person that does it, first thing in the morning or the last thing at night, and that way, you know, they're not affecting any but their users in the office. Okay? Another reason to tell your users to log out at night. So I'm going to go back in here, and we're going to go in and look at Leona's account, because now we're in July. I don't know why it keeps putting it on the screen, though. Okay. Can you see? So, Leona, and if we go to her account detail, it now applied the money. So, if I expand this, you can see it now applied it to the July assessment, turned the payment green, and it turned the assessment white because it's been paid. If I expand that, it shows me which payment applied to that charge. Okay? So that is one of the big reasons that you will want to close or not close yet. So if you haven't put in all your deposits or all your charges and you're in, let's say now August, then don't close, because this allows you the opportunity to still add payments or charges and have the money apply in the period that you want to. Okay? Now, I have a question for you. What do you think would happen if I closed Ashburn Farm now? I'm going to put them in to August. Okay, so they're in August. Let's say they're in August, and I go in and I make a payment that I realize when I do my reconciliation never got posted to somebody's account. So I go in and I make that, I post that entry, and remember we're in August, and I post it for July. What do you think that's going to do to my financials?
Probably gonna throw them off.
It will. Because remember, cash goes in to debit, cash, and credit prepaids. Then it will go through the process of applying to any open invoices, and then it will reduce the AR and then reduce the prepaid account. So what will happen is on your aging report, let's say they made a payment and there's zero, but what will have happened is they won't show up on any report, but their cash is in prepaids in July, but the process of applying application was in August because that's when it applied to that charge. Okay? So I tell everybody, if you always apply, if you've closed, never post in a prior period. And if you have your credits side of your AR posting codes to prepaids, your reports will always tie out. Okay? So basically, once you close, don't post to prior periods in AR. Okay? Make sense? Okay. Any questions on closing?
No, we're okay.
Okay. The very last one. I'm going to go to coupon maintenance. Before I go there, I want to go in to program defaults. In program defaults, okay, on account types. Remember, these are all the different accounts that you can have money posted to, and everybody has an owner account. So if you look across here, it says that you can bill to this account, which means recurring billing, and I can send coupons. You will notice that no other boxes are checked, okay? So if I was to go in to coupon maintenance, and I tell the software what this one is account types right here, you see it says owner, okay? That is the only one that it will create a coupon for, okay, because of what I've checked here. But if you were going to do a special assessment and you wanted them to have a coupon, you could put special assessment there, okay? Then you can go in, you would have to go into setup and go to the community. So we'll go to property setup. So when you're doing coupons for the next year, this is another thing you'll have to remember, that you would go in, okay, you go to your HOA, you go to your community, and you go to billing. So you would want to make sure that you had the next year's billing. So if I was going to do these for 2016, I would say monthly assessment. The posting code would be the assessment, fixed amount, monthly, and it's going to be $120, and it's going to begin 1/1/2016. Okay? Now, I want to see this, it says account. Now I'm going to do this special assessment account. Okay? These are the owner accounts. I just checked that I was able to do billing. Same thing, I'll put my special assessment, my posting code, okay, posting code doesn't work on this. Oh, darn you. Credit. Okay. I hit the wrong thing. None of you spoke up and say, Carolyn. I don't mind being called out. Okay, special assessment. so it's a fixed amount. Period is going to be monthly, and I'll make this $50. Okay, and once again, 1/1/2016. Now, the bad thing is, for it to post to a special assessment account, you have to have a special assessment account on as a sub-account for the owners. It has to be set up. It won't create one automatically for you. You have to do it. So I set it up here by going in and, telling the account types that that's what I wanted. I went in and set up the charge to do it. The icky part is this. I have to go in and do this part. And I'm only going to do a couple just to show you that you can do it. Not very many people have a need for it, but every once in a while somebody does.
What if it's a special assessment just once a year, though, like on 1 month? You could set that up too, right?
Yeah, you can do that too. Also, everybody and every association is different, Okay, so I'm going to come over here I'm just going to do a couple, and I'm going to add an account, and I'm going to add a special assessment account by hitting manage, and it adds this sub-account to here. So we have James, made it a nice purple color, Jones.
There's a way to do all of them at the same time?
Nope. I know. I wish there was, but there is not. So if you have a board member ask you to make it separate, you now know how much work it is, so keep that in mind when you agree. But you can do it. Okay, so I'm just going to do two.
Carolyn.
Okay, so, yeah.
I'm sorry. So going back to the very beginning setup of when we're adding new association into there, can we already just put like a special assessment account into it, knowing that they might have one in the future, and do it that way instead of manually entering it for each individual units or homeowners when we need to assess the special assessment, and just have it hidden, or when we need it, then we have to add it?
Well, you can create one at that time, but it's still a manual process. There's no way to import it in and have it linked like that. Because, see, that one's getting linked to the property and to the owner. So it's, and if you bring them in through an import, it brings it in as its own independent account. And you can switch it and say, no, it is a special assessment account, but once again, that's manual.
I see. So essentially, I couldn't create like a CSV or the TSV file and have a special assessment account already set up for my member listing, and then import that through VMS import, and then therefore I don't have to manually go through each individual. I would still have to do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
That doesn't mean that that isn't a suggestion that you could ask for development. If Mike thinks it is relevant to enough people, he would consider it, the development. But at this time, there hasn't been enough requests for something like that, so it's never been developed.
Okay, thank you.
Michael is really, really keeps his ears to your needs. And he listens, and every time he's doing revisions or rewrites or doing things, he looks at what's being requested. I mean, he's very good at it. I always think of it as a growing software, because it's or a living software, because it's constantly being improved to meet people's needs. Okay?
I'm sorry, a side question. As far as the software itself, is it getting like a revamped interface, or is it like this UI that we're seeing right now, and the processing of it is going to remain the same for like the next couple of years?
No, he's working on 2.0 now, and I haven't seen it, but I hear it's wonderful. And so, I mean, it's not going to be it might look different, but it's going to still act the
function
same.
The same way.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, if he's making changes, he's we'll be making changes so that it flows easier or something like that. I can't wait to play with it. It hasn't been installed on my machine yet.
Do you have an estimated time when it might be available?
Well, they're beta testing it now.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. But they beta tested 1.7.11 for 2 years, so.
I see.
But it was worth the wait, so it was a really nice upgrade. So.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so when I come back into here, you'll notice last time I only had owners, but now I have 2. So these are account types. Account types are types of accounts that will hold money. Contact types, remember, those are the ones on who to. So you can send statements to all records. So remember, every account has to have one all record. So all equals primary owner, not all like as inclusive of everybody. So an all is going to be the contact record equal to all. If I have somebody as a billing record, I can include them, or a management company. So this case, if somebody had each one of these contact records on their account, it's going to create 3 records for South Data, if that's who I'm using, to get a coupon. It's not going to do one or the other. It's going to do all 3, okay? Most people just do them to their all records, but, everybody's needs are different. I'm going to do my owner account and my special assessment count. I'm not going to exclude anybody that's in collections, but I could. I could say anybody that's at the attorney or on lien status could exclude it if I wanted, so you have that choice. And on the coupons, you can add in your website. If you're using the web, you can list their password or username and password on the statement or coupon, so it's right there. That's up to you. Okay, so this is just basically saying, okay, these are my parameters. Who am I including? So if I set up in my property setup, sorry, I do that on accident a lot. I mean to go to the screen. So remember in setup, you told the software in property setup if that association you wanted it to get. So in Hunter Mill, if I look here, and I go to accounting into the coupon tab, this was set up to do coupons, okay? If I look at Arborgate, let's say, if it says, this one says statements, okay? So when I go here, when I go to coupons, I'm going to go to annual, because I'm going to do annual stuff. I do not see Arborgate. Arborgate is going to be here on statements, okay, because it's based on the setup that you did in property setup. Now, some associations do an annual coupon, and then they do statements monthly still. So if you have that, after you do your coupons, go back to property setup and switch it to statements. And then before you want to do coupons, switch it to coupons, just that export, okay?
Carolyn?
Yes.
As far as statements or coupons going out, does that apply to, say, like an account that is an account that's no longer active, but they still have a debt owed to the community, so they're on like some sort of a repayment plan?
Okay, coupons, it's not going to print a coupon for anyone who is inactive.
Okay.
And statements I'm not sure about. I'm going to have to ask. If you did them in-house, anybody, the parameters, anybody who has balances, you choose the balances. Mm-hmm. And you can also add a parameter for active or inactive. Okay? This here doesn't show active or inactive, so I'm assuming it's going for balances. But I'm going to verify that because it's usually a parameter that I can choose. Okay?
And second question, if you were, okay, so if for active accounts with a balance, if they were on, say, a payment plan for their violations, and then they're also their regular statement, monthly assessments they pay, is that two separate statements going out separately, or is that combined into one mail out to that individual?
How are you billing their repayment?
I mean, just like in-house agreement with them saying, okay, for the violations, they're repaying X amount every month on top of their monthly assessments. So instead of paying $100, they're paying $125. Can we?
So the thing is, when you send out a statement, it's showing you what the balance is. It's you know what I mean. So if they're going to know, hey, my monthly assessment was 100, but my balance is 3,000. They know the in-house agreement that they're paying extra.
So
on
the
that
balance
prior.
is pulling from the separate accounts that are the sub accounts created for that.
No,
parent
if you
account,
have if you created a sub account, you have to tell the sub. You remember the setup that you can do coupons or statements. Now you need to check those boxes to bring those in, and they would be separate.
It'll be a separate a statement that goes out.
Because it's going to have a separate account number that's assigned to it. So when they pay it, you know that was their intention to pay that. It's really important in states like Florida and Nevada, because the state says you have to put those fines on a separate account, and they have to have a separate account number. So you want to make sure that when they send it, they're telling you what account number it's for, so you know that that was their intention to pay that fine.
And also on the portal for the users to go on and view their accounts and make payments and so forth, it does list all their sub accounts under the parent account, correct? Like, so say if I go online, I want to pay for my violations only, I could see that violation account on that portal and make the payment for it, or do I have to have a separate login for the violations?
The portal, there's not a portal to make your payment through the VMS because we don't collect money. What it does is that you can do a link to the bank where they can make the payment, and then they indicate what they're paying.
I think I remember that. Yeah, I remember seeing we went through one where you were showing us that portal with the bank linking and everything. Okay.
Right.
But they are able to see their balance, correct?
Yes. Yes, they can. And all if you give them permissions, all that's part of permissions. If you give them permissions to see their account balances in detail, then they'll see it. Okay. So I'm going to go to coupons for what I want to do next year. So I'm going to change this to 2016. 2016. All right. Now, right now, there's no print. So all the properties that I want to print, I would just come in here and I would say ready. So they're ready to print. And I really, 2016. That look better? Okay, so this one's ready. So when I go up here and say annual batch, it's going to go in and it's going to start creating. I had selected that the person that I was creating these was for South Data in my proper setup, and it wanted me to say all instead of ready. Let's try it again. Okay. Name for the PIF files. Oh, okay. This area here, South Data it's going to create a PIF file because they used to take this PIF file that would say to you what color and all this stuff. They don't take it anymore. So that's why I got that. But it's still going to create the file. So now it says you want to make them anyway, and I said yes. So it did 29 coupons. So if I go, now where did the coupons go? The file went to wherever you're in your program control. Coupons. So here's South Data, and it tells me the path right here that it's going to go to. These are already set up for the companies that might in the type of file and format that these companies have requested them from. Also, I put my self-data account number here because it will get included in the file. So I'm going to go right here. So I'm going to retrieve my coupon file. So then all you would need to do is to log into VMS, log into your account with South Data, and upload the file, the PAN file that VMS created, to South Data. Then they'll take that data from there and create. So it's right here, your coupons. Okay, so coupon, South Data. Actually, I think here's today's file right there. Okay, so if I open up this file, there we go. So this is in the format, here's the 777, which was the account number for my account with South Data. That's my coupon code. This is my VMS account number, and all the information. I only made 2 special assessment accounts. So here's the one special assessment, and you can see it come over here, and it has a different account number for the special assessment, see, 942, as opposed to that one. Okay? So you just upload that, and then you're all done. That's how quick and easy it is to create those coupon files to go to South Data. And I'm going to rename this. Do you ever send, you get new homeowners and monthly send out to South Data or to one of these other companies just for the new owners, files for the new owners? So I had a whole bunch of new owners, and I want to send them coupon books for the rest of the year with their account number on it. Does anybody ever do that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
so
we do.
Okay, perfect. So you'll notice that I had annual, which was exactly what it sounds like. Maintenance is for the new owners. So when I hit maintenance batch like this, what it will do, and I chose more than one property, and most of the time I know when you send to South Data, you do them separately for the costs and stuff. So I apologize, but okay. Now it's telling me about the dark pit file. Do you want to create anyway? Yes. Okay. So I'm going to go back to that same folder, which keeps popping it on a different screen. Okay. So here's my new owner. So anybody that is marked, now I want to show you what happened. So here's Cameron and Coca, and they were, I'm not even sure what property. Well, we'll find out. Okay, I'm pretty sure that they are going to be in Woodley. So if we go to their property, what happens when you do a change of ownership? Does anybody send out coupons or statements in-house?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Do you do statements in-house?
Sometimes. Some of them.
Okay. It's just a matter of printing a report, okay? So you just, once again, go look at the examples of the different reports we have, and let's see, all properties. Oh, they were here. Okay, here we go. Okay, so what happens is when you do a new owner, see right here it says coupon and welcome. It puts scheduled here. And so that's a flag, which is called a welcome flag. And you can set up, whether they're in-house that you're going to print yourself for like welcome letters, that would say create a letter, welcome letter, and you would say the property, but the parameter you're going to add is anyone who has that is flagged for a welcome letter. And then once you render the welcome letter, it will put date here that you did it. So what happened here was when we did the new owner, this said scheduled, and when I created the file, it changed it and put the date I created the coupon. So it will update that. So now if I go in and do maintenance, this homeowner will not get pulled in because they now have a date, because it's looking for only people who have scheduled.
Okay.
Now they'll get one because I just changed them. Okay?
Okay.
And then if I look at Woodley, these people, their coupon is going to show, okay, that I did it today too, because I just created a new coupon file. Okay? That's it, guys. That was all of those different modules. Anything I need to go over again? Any questions?
No, we're okay.
Okay. Are you playing with it?
We still have to add the assist files into it for me to actually play around with the actual software. So I'm waiting for that to take effect, which is Mike, who's going to be handling that.
Okay. So I will get the rest of your videos from this week up on the website by tomorrow, and then you'll have AP, AR, and this class today there tomorrow. Okay?
Okay.
Thanks.
Alrighty. And I am going to call Dean right now, and then I'm going to call Mike in a few minutes, okay?
Okay.
All right,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Talk
you.
to you next week.
Okay.